Do you play War Thunder and are you struggling with the economy? You can now get free Golden Eagles by downloading the app down below and completing simple tasks. If you use my referral code EPGEK, you get 10 Golden Eagles upon signing in. And if all of you accumulate enough Golden Eagles throughout that link, I will be able to host 5,000 Golden Eagle giveaways with the Golden Eagles that you guys have earned. Welcome back, and today we are flying out the F3F, and the F3F is a pretty hard plane to fly, especially in the current day, because everyone just bought their top tier premium from the Christmas sale. So now all the skill players are actually flying low BRs to kind of escape the noobs. And this is a BR that you normally find the noobs at, so this is absolutely perfect to find some of the best players in the game to actually have some good fights. And this is not cope whatsoever. I don't tell myself this every morning when I wake up. I mean, look at this Heinkel 51. He's doing an absolute stellar job to dodge my rounds. Unfortunately for him, I managed to one-shot him with a single of 7 mil. Otherwise, he would have definitely killed me and I would have been in a very tough spot right here. I probably would have lost the match. The Heinkel 112 then notices me, knows that he's not gonna out-dogfight me, so he dives away to pick up some speed. He definitely sees me and knows that I'm there, which is why he isn't reacting when I start shooting, because he already knew I was there and he wasn't trying to waste more energy. Now, unfortunately, I dome him in the back of his head, but he almost got away because he conserved all the speed so well. Another Heinkel 112 comes in and he's about to kill me, but then it seems like he actually disconnected or got very bad packet loss because he just kind of started flying straight. Now, very unfortunate, and I would be very mad if this would happen to me. And I know exactly what it feels like, because it's actually going to happen to us the game after this one. So it's a bit of karma. Luckily, we actually managed to salvage it a little bit. Okay, I can do that for another minute if I wanted to. I'm going to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm not going to be making a video in 2 or 3 days, just to have a little bit of time off, just spend some time with my family and stuff like that. Just actually have a real life, maybe perhaps touch some grass. We're having some pretty bad instances of power outages today again. This is I think the 4th one in the last month. And it's actually extremely annoying. So I thought to myself, I'll just make something a little bit less serious. You fly the F3F. Some people have actually been requesting it. And I mean, it's kind of funny to sometimes just kind of slap level 12s. It's also kind of boring, but at the same time, you do the exact same thing at top tier right now. And I was making a bit of a joke in the intro. And with that I only mean the start, the rest of it was of course completely serious. But most of the top tier players are extremely bad right now. They're about this caliber, and I'm not mocking them. I mean, I've been playing this game for like 3,500 hours at this point, so I understand that I'm gonna be killing these people. I just find it funny that most of these players are actually in jets. It's just a lot more pronounced in these planes, because the planes are not very forgiving. Something like a BF-109A is already a bad plane to begin with. So if someone plays it wrong, or if someone makes a mistake, he is actually instantly dead. Whereas with something like the MiG-23ML, or with the F5C, which kind of just holds your hand a little bit, it's a lot easier to get results with. Also because of the missiles. Now with the F5C, not as much. But you have good powered guns, you have missiles, and if you do hit them, you're probably going to get the kill. And it's probably a lot less pronounced. Now that might be a little bit of a hot take, but in reality we are flying at 1.3 and it doesn't really matter what the fuck you do as long as you have a plane that is not completely clueless. Now the F3F is actually pretty damn good, but you do want to be careful because it's not the most maneuverable biplane. And I'm not about to give you the most in-depth review on this plane in the history of planes. But when it comes to maneuverability in terms of a biplane, you are gonna lose to Key 10s, Key 27s, I-15s and all those kind of planes. And I kind of discovered that in this game because, well, I'm not at this BR very often, especially in biplanes, because I don't think it's a very stellar gameplay loop. Same way with something like a Zero, for example. But sometimes it's fun to just have a little bit of a wind down and not worry too much about what you're doing, do some dumb stuff and get away with it. So we go for the J8, we hit him a lot, but we don't actually kill him. And I see the I-15 behind us. And I think, well, I should be able to out-dogfight that. This thing feels pretty maneuverable, and it is. But when you compare it to other biplanes, it's actually not that fantastic. But we'll see it in a second. We energy trap this guy because, well, I mean, he's energy trapped the second he takes off. This guy does not have a working engine. It's essentially a lawnmower with some wings. But we don't manage to kill him either. And instead of going for him, I'm gonna go straight for the Key 10. Because the Key 10 is a plane that I know that I'm not gonna beat. Because the Key 10 beats essentially every plane in a dogfight that it can realistically see. You can come at me with your fucking, oh, the F-14. I don't care. It's 1.0. And we are gonna be fighting 1.0 planes. Now we get hit from quite far away by the D373. we have him energy trapped. His engine is basically dead. Unfortunately, his guns still have energy and he can still hit us from very far away because we are going like 250 kilometers an hour. I-15 comes up and there's also one on level fly, so I'm gonna try to stall this guy out, dive on him and then just kind of shit on him so that I don't have to 2v1 him. Now I'm just gonna take the head on here because I know that I have better guns. He's going super slow and then we merge with the I-15 and we try to reverse him. I thought it was a little bit slower, but actually what ends up happening, he is better at low speed than we are. So I'm gonna try to stay above his nose, on his wingtip, and make it as hard as possible for him to actually hit us. Now luckily it's the bad I-15, not the 153 with the absolute laser beam guns, otherwise I would have been shredded to bits there. I reverse him by cutting throttle and he's still gonna very easily pull into us. So I'm gonna try to stay behind him, but his turning circle is like half mine. And this is where I discover that I am not gonna be winning this fight. So I'm gonna try to go as slow as possible. And with that I mean slow as possible without actually killing myself. Because if I overslow completely, I'm just gonna kind of stall out in front of him. But as of right now, I'm trying to dodge his loop. I'm trying to stay slow. And he is still cutting inside of me. Now finally he actually breaks off. And that's why I end up getting on his 6. But even then, I'm gonna have some trouble actually killing this guy. He is completely outturning me. I think he's just much lighter than us. And he is able to just kind of float at absolute minimal speeds. And then he just kind of pulls in front of us to go head on with the other guy. We get a lot of hits in, but we stall out. We don't have any rudder control. We set him on fire. We overshoot him and he burns up to the other guy. And that's completely fine because, well, that's a fight I wouldn't have won anyway. Then the second I-15 comes in and I'm still going to try it. I mean, I might have just lost and I saw how big the deficit was, but we are fighting people at 1.0 yet again. And these are not exactly the #1 RRB pilots in the game. So I want to try to see how big the deficit really is and see if that guy maybe just knew what he was doing, because he was not making glaring mistakes. He was playing it quite okay. And you might say, what, it's just a biplane, he just puts the cursor on you, and you'd be correct. But I still want to see what happens if you get someone that's maybe a little bit sentient. However, he goes head on with someone else, so we just kind of full commit head on him because he's not shooting at us. And then the Keats 27 comes in. Now we already came from an advantageous position. He's having a bit more energy than us. And that's a fight I don't want to take right now, so I'm going to dive away for a little bit. And then once he starts getting closer, I'm just going to hammer the elevator and see if I can pull inside of him. A lot of people are not familiar with how hard these things pull, and it's very hard to hit actually, especially when you have two shit-ass guns. So he's turning around, he's going to turn in front of us. He has a red wingtip, I don't really agree with that. That can only be one. And we end up doming him, we set him on fire, but we don't have the energy to actually pitch up for us, and the Heinkel 112 kills someone else. Then our game actually crashes, like I said in the intro, and we are able to actually load back into it. I almost crash into the ground. Luckily we recover, and we are going to engage the V156. Now, some people call me an aircraft compendium, but I have no idea what the fuck this thing is. Well, I can see that it's like an attacker kind of plane. I can see that it's slow and not very hard to kill, but I am just not a knower when it comes to these BRs. I don't fly these planes. I don't know how they stack up against each other. I mean, you don't really need to. We are fighting people at 1.0 for the 20th time. Now, what are the plans for the upcoming year, half a year? I am probably going to go back to work. So I did take a bit of a break. I stopped working on the 21st of August to take a little bit of a break. Just kind of collect my thoughts and give myself a little bit of a breather, which we managed to do. I was a bit burned out and I'm kind of just losing motivation from just sitting in front of the screen for a lot. But I do want to ramp it up a little bit in 2024 and at least do the things that I promised. So I have started on a flaring guide. So every IR missile, IRCCM, no IRCCM, without flares, all that good stuff. Then we have radar missiles, but I'm going to wait until they add the AIM-120s or just active homing missiles in general that isn't a Phoenix to complete it instantly and not have like a guide that's outdated within 2 months. And I will complete the flap guide. Now the flap guide is already like 80% done and I promised it I think like 1.5 months ago. But then patch rolled out. After the patch I was kind of done with the game and I went on old footage. Then another patch rolled out because it's December and the patches are like 6 weeks between. And that sounds like a lot of time, and to be honest it kind of is. The issue is that by the time that the flap guide comes out, or whatever guide I am making, by the time the hype starts dying down of the patch, the hype starts ramping up for the next patch. So now with January, February, March, you mostly have a lot more time in between the patches. Watch me do a cartwheel in the background, by the way. And that means that I have a little bit more time to publish these kind of videos that need to do well in the long term. And I need to have motivation for them. And I don't want to make these videos half-assed. And if I don't have the motivation, I know that I'm gonna rush stuff. And I know that these videos will be viewed or used for a long time. And I want them to be as best as I can make them for good reasons. And let me tell you, these patches absolutely destroy me. I'm not a big fan of top tier, and you all know this, and I just had to fly, like what, 7 of those planes, and I all got like 50 to 100 kills on each of them, just to get a good opinion of it, and I only played top tier, and it kills me. I don't like the game mode, and I know I'm complaining about being paid to play a video game, and I'm very privileged to be in this situation, but let me tell you, playing top tier just is mentally draining. There's too much shit going on, there's too many IRCCM missiles, there's too many people, and overall the game mode is just complete whack. And for the most part, most of you guys don't really care that much about top tier either. A lot of people request props or like lower tier jets, and I understand it. There's also a very big community about top tier, and that's probably because a lot of people started playing this game to fly the new shiny stuff. The F-15, the F-16, the Su-27, the MiG-29, the Gripen, the Mirage 2000. These are planes that people liked before they were in the game. And these were planes that people will buy the game for, buy a premium for, and grind all the way towards it. And that's why I think it's so important to make these videos. I try to do my best in putting out the best top tier content that I can and try to make it as credible and knowledgeable as I humanly can, because there is a lot of misinformation in this game. On Discord servers, on Reddit, on forums. God forbid I start about TikTok. There is so many people that simply don't know what they are doing, and I'm not gonna try to sit here and say that I'm perfect. I make mistakes too. The difference is that I get my videos checked by people that know what they are talking about, and they will filter out every time I say something wrong. Does it happen all the time? Maybe not. However, it's a very nice safety net, and it makes me feel more at ease to say what I think, because I know that if I say something wrong, it's going to get filtered out by people that I know are credible. And this also makes me a little bit more at ease when it comes to comments and stuff like that. I used to have a lot of discussions on the internet. Now by this time I'm 26, I am basically a boomer, and I don't want to waste any more time on things that do not matter. And arguing with someone that either is trolling, doesn't know any better, or simply just wants to be right is not on my bucket list. It's not something that I want to do, and I'm not gonna pretend like I never did it, that I have some moral high ground or whatever. I used to do this all the time. I argued with a lot of people. And my favorite is just not actually reading what the other person is saying and simply looking at their comments to see what you can say is wrong. And you see this all the time, and it's the same thing in arguments on voice chat or just in person. People are not listening, they are waiting their turn. And this doesn't go anywhere. It's a complete waste of time. So nowadays I try to go into discussions or arguments with the idea of I want to learn something from them. And if they say a lot of rubbish, just say what you want like once, show them some proof, and if they don't want to listen to it, just go on about your life. It's not worth your energy. Trust me, I've done it way too much. I've even discussed with people or argued with people to then find out after like 20 minutes that we were arguing about the same thing. We were agreeing with each other, except we were wording it a little bit different. One was a little bit less nuanced than the other, and we thought we were disagreeing with each other. To then find out after 20 minutes that we were in the exact same thing. Just one put it through Google Translate like 6 times, and the other was actually speaking English. And what ended up happening, we disagreed with each other because we misunderstood. Absolutely fantastic, I know. I'm gonna wrap this rant up. I'm gonna say Happy New Year. Be careful with the fireworks, be careful with your substances and whatever you want to go and use. You can use it all, I'm not your dad, I really don't care what you do. Just don't blow your hands off and don't end up in the hospital. And with this all out of the way, I can finally say it's been a year since the last time I showered. Yeah, I know which date it is, don't worry about it. I know what I said. Just a bit smelly here.